Okay, I was spending a little time out here this morning kind of scoping out the project and trying to figure out where to go next. And one of the things I wondered about is this steering box. It has a steering rod, which I found to be kind of interesting. This is not a removable joint on the end of here. It's actually made into the rod, which strikes me as a bit odd, but maybe that's the way they did it back then. You would think you'd be able to replace that joint on the end there, sort of like these, which are removable and adjustable. But that is one point of interest, but an even bigger point of interest is this. This box, with nothing connected to it, in other words, the arm is just hanging there, so there's no pressure on it, is very hard to turn. It hangs up right about here, and when you come back the other way, it does the same thing. And you can see the shaft. See if I can get my camera at the right angle. The shaft is warped, which is not a very good thing, and that is a problem. This thing needs to be smooth from lock to lock. It's also all welded together here so that I can't really get it apart without taking the whole shaft and everything out. I kind of like having it at a place where I can work with it. I'm thinking what I might do is just see if I can get some oil down in there and see if it'll stay. I don't know if this thing's going to leak out that shaft hole there or not. And there's also an adjuster here on the top. See if I can get the camera where you can see that. There's a place there to put oil and a place there to adjust that gear in there. So I might try kind of taking this thing apart, at least taking the cab off of it right here where it sits. Maybe I'll pull the headers off this side so I can get a better view of what I'm doing here. I might wind up pulling the whole thing off, but it seems to me like this is kind of an important part of the car that has to be made right. And I'm sort of waiting on some parts right now, so it might be a good time for me to tackle that. That might be my job for today. Let's see how that goes. Okay, I've got the header off, and I popped these 4 bolts out of the top of the steering box. I'm going to see if I can just lift that right off of there. And if this works the way I think it's going to work, there's going to be like a screw gear that fits into another type of gear that's going to make that shaft go. These boxes are pretty simple. I'm hoping I can see down in there and see the mechanism and kind of see what kind of shape the gears are in, and just kind of go from there. This might be something I can fix myself. That'd be good if I could. Might be time for me to talk about some hot rod theory here. I kind of go by the I can fix it mode, meaning that usually if something ain't working, if I can get it apart, very often I can fix it. That comes from back when we was kids. We really didn't have a lot of money to spend on paying somebody else to fix our cars and stuff, so if something was broke, we'd take it apart and see if we could figure it out. I'm looking at this steering box. I have taken the lid off. You've got a gear, a worm gear here and another one here. Those two come together. When this thing turns, it pushes this thing around, which pushes the bar down there around, which activates the steering mechanism. By screwing this thing out to the point where this is turned beyond the point where they're making contact, I've been able to get this to unconnect and pull this out. Of course, it's still attached to the shaft, so it's not actually free. One thing I'm noticing is this is right full of ice, which means water and frozen crap. Just some old grease and frozen crap. But it looks to me like these gears look, well, I started to say they look pretty decent, but I can feel some rough edges where they're worn in places. So I'm sure there's a place that makes new gears for these things. See, this is just frozen grease, which means this thing's right full of water and stuff too. I'm thinking this can be fixed. I'm thinking it can be fixed.